5, 4. That's a 3. Hey, Alice. Good to see you. You came on a good night. We have a very special guest. One of my favorite people in the whole world, a patron of Music City, someone who's done a lot for Nashville and local music as a whole. Father of Sky Daddy Productions and Young Robot. Michael Carter joins us this evening.
You are far too kind. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I didn't say anything that wasn't true. Yeah, a few people have done. I'll quit sucking your dick after this, but
give the people what they pay for, you know.
But you've done so much for the scene here.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah. Go check out all of Sky Daddy's works, productions. They're available, and then check out Young Robot as one of those as well.
Thank you.
It's been a minute since we've been here.
It's been several minutes.
You've been on the show at least 2 or 3 times.
I believe 3. I want to say 3. Maybe 2 in person and 1 of the virtual numbers.
And if you're unaware, Alice, Michael was the very first guest I had on the show.
He was number 1.
Still is. And before I even started it, Michael encouraged me a lot to start doing it. He was like really cheering me on before I even started.
Mostly just like a lot of like really aggressive, creepy notes, like and just like me standing outside your window with weapons. You're like, podcast! God damn it!
Yeah, that's how it went down. He threatened my life, and here we are.
It's the only way things get done. It's the American way.
Speaking of which, it's a hard time for a lot of people.
It is an extremely hard time. I
There's
don't
a lot.
know why I'm laughing.
Hey, that's absurdity, right? Like, you gotta laugh. There's a lot going on all over the world, and I think everyone is feeling the hurt.
Yeah, it unfortunately pairs with like the natural heaviness of like the end of like a year, like the end of a time frame. I can also, I don't know, not to like weigh one type of conflict or trauma over the other, but it definitely feels like things have been on like this crazy avalanche style trajectory since, COVID. It's like 2020 hit and things just kind of spun out of control into an alternate dimension where things suck a little bit more.
Damn, how do we get back? You have a reverse storm?
No.
Oh, okay. That's it.
I just
Nope. Tried it, trust me.
There's a lot of guys who say no, so no. This is how it is.
Yeah. Have you had any ghost stories since last we spoke? Like anything weird, supernatural?
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm not looking for it, or it's like, I don't want to say it's because I don't believe, because I do. And I'm open to it. Like maybe I'm the wrong kind of open. I'm like the boring kind of open, where it's like, I don't really want to mess with him. He's gonna be nice. Like I'd rather mess with the person who's gonna cry about it,
Yeah. I feel quite confident that given enough mind-altering substances and the right kind of actions, we could get there.
See, that's fair. I don't know, the fragility of a psychedelic altered state is just like something I hold very close and dear.
Yeah.
Mostly just because of like general advice on those wavelengths and just my own family genetic code. Like there's no telling what kind of sleeping monsters are just waiting to be reawakened. I'm not against trying psychedelics and magic. It's just like not on the forefront of my to-do list.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even recommend it. It's, unless
Are you the one doctor that doesn't recommend it?
yeah, 1 out of 8,000.
1 out of 5.
One,
1 out of 5 heady motherfucker says don't touch the Ouija board.
dude, I feel the same way about DMT now too.
Yeah.
Like the last time I did DMT, I had, and it's not always like this, obviously,
Mhm.
but um, I blasted through somewhere. There's like white and black checker floors
Very
and
familiar.
walls,
Yep.
and there were like vines coming in through the cracks of it,
Oh.
and I could see like gaps in the walls, and it was just outer space out there. So I was in this floating building. It reminds me of 2001, the little thing he goes into at the very end.
This is like psychedelic blasphemy. I have never seen 2001.
Oh man, it's so good.
I said that sentence to someone one time, and she just like she shook her head. She was like, "I thought you were heady." And so I threw away all my tie-dye t-shirts and I got rid of all my jewelry and I just kind of, I turned over a new leaf.
Yeah.
He was right.
To this day,
Yeah.
a lawyer, very
Yeah.
straight
Yeah,
laced.
just like, I was fucking up, I guess.
But I was in this room, and in the center of it, excuse me, there was like this fountain.
Yeah.
But the water was still,
Mhm.
like it was like frozen in time. And I walked over to it. I was just like looking in the water, and then all of a sudden I felt something from like way off. Like I
Yeah.
could sense it. I never saw it, but like it like kept getting closer and closer really quickly, and then it like washed over me, and I was like in this thing, and it was like the cosmic carnival, like
Yeah.
like all the like the lights and
Mhm.
like things that you can't even begin to conceive of, like elves, the elf stuff, and
Are they elves though? Are they?
I mean, there's something. I don't know what the fuck they are.
I'm just always I'm not jealous of people's experiences with that because
Oh,
it's cool, but it's like my one genuine themes experience has been just like the infinite white light, where I heard like
Yeah.
what might have been elvish voices, but like I really identify with like the black and white aspect of it. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like you're like boiling down to the geometric code that structures everything we see and experience.
I actually don't think they were very elf-like at all.
Mhm.
But I call them that
Hot
because machine elves, like
Yeah.
that's just what I've heard them called.
More machine than elf.
Yeah, yeah. The building blocks of reality that
Yeah.
are very whimsical.
Yeah.
Well,
it has to be a little silly, right? Otherwise, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah. I mean, I think faced with the reality of how large the universe is, and how little you can do about what's going on, you'd rather laugh than cry.
There's also I have absolutely zero facts to back this up with, but I feel like it's known or it's a thing where laughing and either crying or terror, like something about like laughing and like that involuntary response is very closely related to fear, right?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I've heard this in chaos magic. If you laugh, you can nothing can have power over you if you're laughing at it.
Yeah. Well, they're just like connected in like kind of an absurd way, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You just gotta laugh.
Yeah. I think that is one of the wisest things you can do. Because if you're in a bad situation, don't make it worse.
So, by that logic, are people who exclusively watch comedies and watch stand-up, are they the wisest of them
Most
all?
enlightened.
And I've watched
They're the
Shane
most,
Gillis stand-up a lot.
I just watched one the other night. He's so good.
Yeah.
So I think it's the most hedonistic thing you could do. Like laughing is one of the greatest pleasures there is.
That's fair. I mean, also it's like you're seeking out like a certain type of vibration that makes you feel a certain way, and like there's no other form of consumed word or speech that like does that to you.
Yeah.
Like when you're learning something, you don't go, "Oh, I'm learning." Like there's no like tingling sensation when you laughing is just it overtakes your whole body. It's all you're doing in that moment. It's like probably one of the more meditative things you can do, right?
I think probably the best thing you can do is like a teacher,
Hmm.
or like people trying to bring light to things.
Yeah. So you're saying like using
Self-sacrificing
yeah.
for a something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Like a very religious statement actually. Like the character of Jesus is, I think
It's
that's
fucking hilarious.
what a clown, dude. But like that archetype,
Yeah.
like, and that's probably because like I never really stopped being an evangelizer when I moved out of the cult I was in.
You just found something else to evangelize.
Yeah. And I guess right now in my life, I worship, and take this like as figuratively or literally as you want, but like um, the archetype of like Prometheus and Lucifer, to me, they're like the same thing.
I know more about the Promethean tale than I do Lucifer's.
So like the
considering that I grew up in Alabama.
Yeah, the comparison I'm making is like Prometheus brings man a torch, and he wasn't supposed to do that, and he's punished for it. Whereas like Lucifer brought Eve an apple, and he wasn't supposed to do that, and he's punished for it. I'm a big believer in whether people will hurt themselves or not with that information. No one is an authority over anyone else about what they can and can't know.
Right. I'm a big believer in that idea.
Even if it would result in people doing stupid stuff with it, that is their decision. And who is any man to stand over that other person and tell them they can't do that?
Yeah, I mean it gets complex and wriggly real quick, where it's like both arguments are valid. You know what I mean? Like I don't think anything should be policed. I feel like you should be able to like sift through the information and like make your own excellent like decision based on that. But on like the flip side of it, if like the wrong message has like more money and more like thought process behind it and like how it's getting to you, then like the malicious intent behind like the disinformation or whatever you want to call it, like can cause adverse effects. Like, it's the whole nature of everything we're doing right now is too complex to be like policed or like fixed as quickly as people like to think. So I think we all need to acknowledge that first before we try and like hammer in any like rigid ways to like
I think if you're going to
destroy things or like keep people from things,
I think if you're going to tear something down,
yeah,
you have to have something to replace it with. You can't just tear it down and leave people with nothing.
Yeah.
It's not enough just to break the system. You have to replace it with something at that point. Like, because otherwise things could get much worse.
Well, also like we're too far along right now to like really be able to remove any part of the engine and just have it function.
It's crazy. I see what you're saying. The whole thing has to go.
We're all experiencing everything at once because we have to, because we've been pushed to this like crazy tilting point that has it kind of like I said earlier, it's just gotten weirder and like stranger and shittier since 2020.
Yeah.
Maybe 2012 if you want to do the Hadron Collider theory, where it's like we blew up the wrong thing and now we're in like the evil alternate universe from Community, except no one has mustaches.
I don't have much of an opinion on it, but I wonder if we were to take like a hard historic look, if this was like a trend that was coming, or if it really is like a hard switch.
I mean it is kind of, it's McKenna-esque, where it's like with the nature of complexity, things just get like inherently weirder and weirder and weirder until like nothing makes sense anymore.
Yeah.
That moment like right before the singularity.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's yeah. We
before we hit the point that we're all connected and everything is infinite and we finally understand, there's going to be way more furries than there are right now. Mark my words.
They've reached enlightenment.
The furpocalypse.
I love that. Reality is breathing.
Yeah.
Like well, reality is also like it's two things coming together. Like I totally agree that there's going to be a point where we all sync up.
Yeah.
And I think after we get to that point where we're all a hive mind, we're probably going to go, well, this is boring. Let's create a universe that we can go down into, like a simulation, And the question then is like, how many times have we done this already?
I mean, that's all that I can imagine is that like in that final blissful moment where like all of every negative emotion, every like weird, neurotic, like negative element finally disappears for a moment. It's just like us and the infinite white light and nothing else. There's probably going to be some post nut clarity. That post nut clarity is like where the new universe comes from. It's like, oh, what did I do? Oh no, I need to leave.
What
I
have I
should
done?
leave. I should leave.
This is awkward. Oh man.
And half of us are like, don't you want to get breakfast? And we're like, I gotta build something new.
Yeah, I like that's well said. That's actually I think every religion's saying that just a slightly different way.
Everyone wants to talk about the Big Bang, but no one wants to talk about the post-nut clarity that came right before that.
That's where like the
Yeah.
good parts
Yeah.
of it came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
And everything else was just stuff that they're still like, no, I was in the right when I did that.
Yeah. Totally.
So to finish my DMT story, I got off of that. This thing washed over me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a carnival, like just all these like a light show.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking like, whoa, this is so overwhelming and amazing. And then like nothing about the experience made me feel anything negative,
Mm-hmm.
but just in the back of my own mind, I was like, maybe this is like it feels good, but this is not good for you, like hard drugs.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, can you give me some kind of indication that you're not trying to hurt me? And like the whole experience itself just kind of shrugged his shoulders, like, I don't know, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. And then I really started to pull away.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not comfortable here anymore.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I did that, it grabbed me and like pulled me in. And I was like, okay, we're fighting now, motherfucker. So like in the middle of like the height of this trip,
Yeah.
I opened my eyes, and that was a bad decision because it looked exactly the same. It looked like I had never opened my eyes, like except now it's overlaid on top of my reality.
Yeah.
Like eyes are just popping in and out of existence.
Is that like a thing that like you, in order to like make the hallucination more intense, you have to keep your eyes closed, or?
I think it's really hard to open it.
Okay.
Like when I'm all the way there, it's like you're dreaming and you're also
Well,
like
that's
maybe ego
that's
death
that.
too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is that like after a certain point, like I don't know whether they're open or not. You know what I mean?
The urgency, like
Yeah.
feeling I was under attack,
Yeah.
made me remember like safety and also
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And like maybe so like it followed me back and was
Mhm.
just on top of everything. And my friend Danny, like I'm seeing eyes like pop in and out of his clothes and his face, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I immediately, as soon as I opened my eyes, I immediately started to forget everything that had just happened.
Like waking up from a dream.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly like that. And that made me feel like it was trying to erase my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't want me to talk about this. So I immediately I'm gonna forget this in a minute if I don't. So I just started unloading what was happening to my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like yelling like me, like I exist. Like, and I felt like I was fighting over my consciousness.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, well, DMT is like the most profound thing you can do with your existence here. I
In a
think.
very short amount of time too.
Yeah.
It is the 5-hour energy of psychedelics.
Yeah. Yeah. As it is amp. Like it's off brand. Like it's not.
Did you buy that at Aldi? Yeah. Why? Why? Just pay the extra $.
Yeah. But I haven't blasted off again since then.
How long ago was that?
Over a year ago.
Okay, that's a long time.
I've done it like I did it in a pipe with some salvia, and some weed
Wait,
after that, and
that's like pouring 5-hour energy into a Celsius.
yeah,
I would be more concerned with that.
it was an extract. It was leaves
Okay.
and just a little bit of
Yeah.
beans and some weed.
Okay.
But
So a Tuesday.
yeah, this Tuesday, nothing crazy. But I haven't like gone in like that again, and I'm not like so like recommending it to people now because
Yeah.
I'm like I think maybe there is potential for danger, or maybe I was just tripping fucking balls and like I wasn't in danger at all, or maybe they were just trying to trick me into feeling that way. But
I mean, I think it's very easy to forget that you're playing with fire. Like,
yeah,
you're just one like possible series of circumstances away from someone just like kind of never being the same again. And for all intents and purposes, like when you do these things, like you're doing it because you want something out of it. You want to become different, and then like meld with it, learn from it, like be a better person out of it. But like not every time is it 100% just going to be that clean, nice, refueled, like let's go back into the world to integrate feeling. Sometimes it can go very south.
yeah,
I was different after the first time I saw someone have a bad trip. I didn't think bad trip for real. I just didn't think it was a thing. I was like, no, me and like my particular brand of love and light are just gonna like power through everything. And then you have one guy lock himself in your bathroom for like 5 hours screaming, and you're like, maybe this can be bad sometimes.
yeah. On Deans?
No.
Okay.
That was acid.
Okay.
DMT,
That'd be crazy. Just
DMT is too quick to do that.
I was.
Like, no
that's
one
why I
can
was.
be
Yeah.
that mobile.
I was just thinking, like, if they're screaming for 5 hours after a DMT trip, it was a bad trip.
There is something else going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I have heard stories of people having like very negative DMT experiences or having DMT experiences that like literally changed the fabric of who they are as a person. But like these people were also like using it a lot, more than just like the Rick and Morty, like quick 10 minutes in and out, quick adventure, like just like going there and staying there for like days at a time.
Yeah.
Which is, it goes from being Promethean to like maybe an Icarus thing. You're just flying too close to the sun, your wings burn off, and something bad happens.
And I guess to like bring it back then,
Mhm.
I think Icarus should have the ability to fly, but I think you can still educate him about the consequences, right? So if like he wants to do that, I don't really, with the exception of like parents, like your parents know what's best for you when you're a young child.
I mean,
Most of the time, let's say some of the time. Let's say some of the time they do.
There's a picture of my parents feeding me babies, feeding me pizza. Plot twist. There's a picture of my parents feeding me pizza as like a baby. Like I grew up with weight problems because it's genetics, and it's like no, it's because my parents didn't feed me the right shit.
Yeah. Okay, so sometimes parents know what's best for you.
I just want the record to be clear.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, adults are not children. Like, so who's another adult to stand over them like a government and tell them they can't do something?
But saying adults are not children allows the facade to exist that there's like some type of invisible barrier that exists between like someone who is like an adolescent and like a fully formed being, and that becomes like some like carrot in front of your face that you chase for your whole life, because like in order to be a proper adult you need to be married, have kids, have the job you want, have financial stability, and it's all about just like chasing something outside of yourself, which is like like the existence of like a group guru type figure in your life that can like teach you and like show you things that need to be handed down. Like all of that exists, and I'm not trying to discredit it, but also like I feel like the amount of empowerment that is stripped from us by public school and by some of like the parental elder relationships, I feel like that kind of fucks us.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I a better way of saying what I was saying is that we're all children.
Yeah,
All of us are children, including the people trying to run shit.
especially
So like, I don't want these
some of
children
them are
telling me what the
some
fuck
of
to
them
do.
are on the other side of that. Like the way life goes is you can't take care of yourself. You learn how to take care of yourself, and then your brain starts going away, and people take care of you. The people that are in large amounts of political offices are in the grandpa in the
Geriatric,
wheelchair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
It's like, no, I don't want you to like have political office. I don't want to see you driving, let alone running our country.
Yeah, and the older you get, the less teachable you are, which I think is a very important quality to have if you're a politician.
So someone I know has a therapist, and like obviously in the state of today's climate, like I feel like a large amount of like therapy conversations are going to be rooted in just like the state of the world, like because you're like figuring out how to like just come to grips with like your place in the world and the way the world is working, and like try and be okay with that. And one perspective that I heard from someone is that if we just hold on a little bit longer, a lot of the old politicians are going to die out. If we can't vote them out, we just let them die. It's like maybe in like 10 or 15 years, things just take a nice little tick upward.
Recession of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You make a good point. That's
feed your elderly politicians Popeyes. Let's just like donate large amounts of fast food to political offices. Let's just make the shift happen soon.
Yeah, not like direct poison, just like
adjacent poison.
Adjacent
like
poison.
maybe I want to give you a Mountain Dew instead of a Mellow Yellow. Just like a little extra poison.
Poison adjacent is a good pop punk.
Yeah. But it's got to have like, it needs to be like poison semicolon adjacent.
Yeah. So speaking of therapy, have you ever been betrayed?
Brother, what if I told you I was the one who did the betrayal? In a sense of like, I don't know, I feel like we all, this might be like a harsh way of looking at it, but like ultimately, like we kind of betray ourselves regularly. You know what I mean? Like our relationship to ourselves is supposed to be like the most sacred and like the thing that like holds us together and like ultimately becomes the foundation for what should be the most rewarding relationship in your life. But this person also can get really drunk and go get cookout at 3 a.m. Like this person can't always be trusted to do what's best for you.
Damn. Fuck, man. Yeah. Sorry, that fucking got me.
No, I mean that's kind of what has been on. That's not what's on my mind all the time, but like that's the thing I'm trying to make better.
Yeah.
Is because in order to like move forward and enjoy life and be happy and learn to like love anyone outside of yourself, like that relationship has to be properly cultivated, and that's just hard. I think it's very hard.
Yeah. It all starts with you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had your heart broken?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've been married before, and like I wasn't like cheated on, but like maybe some like emotional cheating where I watched like a relationship develop outside of the context of like what I thought was supposed to be a certain thing. But that also taught me lessons about like attachment and like the ability I have to like maybe want to try to control how people feel and like the need to let go of that. But the short answer is yes.
Yeah. When you look back in retrospect, was it love?
I do think I was in love, but I think I was more in love with like the idea of love and the security of having that. Because I spent a very long amount of time, like I got married pretty early. I got married when I was 22, and that was like 3 or 4 years into a relationship that started when I was like 19. You know what I mean? And so like the base level feeling in that was, like I loved them, like I felt secure, but a huge primary motivator in that was like, oh, I'm good. Like I got that. Like that like box that everyone wants checked off, and like the series of things that like make a complete, successful, and rewarding life. Like I got it. I found someone. I'm good. I don't have to like chase people like for the next 40 or 50 years. Like, cool. I can worry about my career and my financial stability. Like it was kind of like I felt like I was just like grabbing a trophy or an award in a video game. As like fucked up as it sounds.
Yeah. You check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that ultimately, like, it fell apart in some of the ways I mentioned earlier. And it just became a huge, drastic lesson. And like, again, learning to like treasure the relationship with myself a little bit more. And definitely learning a lot about like boundaries and like how to communicate properly, and just like the steps that are necessary to like make a relationship work, and like what a relationship needs to be, instead of this thing that like you require to, instead of a thing that I needed to like complete myself. It should be a natural extension of like whatever I think is the fullest version of myself that I can offer someone.
Yeah. What you said about we often betray ourselves, that's gonna stick with me. That's
and it's also like, it's something that I can twist into something that's like either like a pity party or like something adjacent to a confidence issue, which there needs to be some forgiveness and there needs to be some love there. It's complex. It's as complex as the world around us.
You really shouldn't like seek validation from anyone else except yourself.
Right. You can look for reflections. Like I feel like a good vibe check from like a close loved one at any point in time is like something we should take seriously. But like nothing outside of me is gonna make me happy.
I think like I don't know if it's like strictly like a physical like pheromones thing, or like a spiritual thing also, but I think people are either going to work with it or not. And like I think that's also like largely out of our control. You can't like make something work. It's either like there's either a connection there or there isn't. And like there could be a connection there that's really great, just not romantic also. But like you can't really change that, I don't think, too much. It can evolve, but yeah.
A relationship is kind of like a fire that needs to be tended and kept lit over a long enough period of time. But like, if you try to start a fire on like some damp wood and like plastic, like it's not gonna work. And if we try to like put maybe things that like don't have a lot of substance to them, like just like pouring lighter fluid all over it, letting it burn really brightly for a short period of time, like again, unless the foundation's there, it's not gonna work out.
Right. It's a physics issue.
And also like beyond like having like the necessary in the end a relationship is a compromise between two people, because like no matter how much you love each other, or no matter like how many stars align, like eventually it's a separate being and you're going to have to come to an agreement on some sort of term or life happening, and it's not always going to be 100% the way you want it or the way that both of you want it. But like for a successful relationship, you just have to be prepared to compromise and willing to like not see that middle ground as a loss.
Yeah.
And not even in a depressing way. It's just like you have to do that to work together.
Yeah, it's like any relationship.
Yeah.
Like just a friendship too.
Yeah.
It's like we've never talked about it before, but we have an unspoken rule that we don't stab each other.
Yeah.
Like with a knife.
Yeah. And if something happened and like this episode never came out due to an unrelated circumstance after this, like that would be really awkward. It's so awkward. Yeah. The one time we talk about not stabbing. It's like, get stabbed.
Yeah, we just have general rules that we don't like, run over each other with a car. Like,
no, I do that to myself.
And we've never had this conversation, but it's an understood contract between us. And that's
Although Neef is now drafting up a non-stabbing contract.
That's good. Let's get it in writing. Yeah, every relationship's like that. It's got to be hard being a parent because you're having a relationship with someone who's not willing to cooperate with you.
Who you're having to teach how to compromise.
Yeah, like you're having to compromise like way more than they are.
Yeah, they don't even know it. They don't even appreciate it.
Any input on that, Pete?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it's like.
The sigh, the exhausted sigh.
Yeah. What are you most afraid of?
For a while, it was, I think, loneliness or dying alone. But I feel like that's like a human fear, like innately, right? I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything particularly special or.
Oh no, we're
unique
very
about that.
social creatures.
Yeah.
And the society that we're in, like,
Mhm.
makes us less social in a weird way, like because we're also very connected.
My biggest fear, and this is something that I have to work on like every day, is not being perceived in like the way I want to be perceived, right? Like so like my actions and like my actions not necessarily reflecting the inner monologue of like the narrative I've built for myself.
Yeah,
It's terrifying.
I'm incapable of that. I am what I see myself as.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
But good luck telling me that.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to practice.
Yeah.
Is like, hey, here's the delusional fiction you've created.
Yeah.
Versus reality. And I think that's probably why we do that too, because reality is harsh. And
But
it's
but
not-
it gets so tricky, right? Because like especially in the current wave of like new age thinking that we're experiencing, like the notion of like manifesting or like your thoughts, we've finally taken a step into like a lot of us are realizing how powerful our thoughts can be, but a lot of those messages are getting like a little like twisted, like the kind of like forever love and light, like zero negativity, like only positive vibes, like that kind of mainframe of thinking kind of lends itself to like some habits that might not be great for you and your loved ones long term. But on the flip side of that, like there's a degree of truth to it.
Again, compromise.
Yes.
Yeah, compromise is a theme tonight. With yourself,
Mhm.
in relationships, with your view of reality.
With the people I owe money to. They need to compromise.
Where do you what do you think's projection for humanity? Where do you think this is headed?
Probably into the computer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
I feel like I'm amazed at like how normal it is for like a lot of us, and myself included, because I know I definitely do it, like particularly when I'm like not feeling super social, just like the amount of time we spend virtually that's logged just like scrolling on our phones, even if it is like I'm doing something, I'm sending an email, I'm sending a message, I'm calling, like the amount of time that we spend internally here but externally somewhere else is just going to keep expanding.
It'll be a gradual thing. It won't be an overnight thing. That makes a lot of sense.
And I don't know. I think binging TV is like a fascinating cultural development that's happened over the last like decade or two.
Yeah.
No, I mean I do it. We all do it.
Yeah.
Like we all like
Okay.
we all.
What else am I gonna do?
Yeah. Well, a lot of us are just.
I'm to the point where I won't even watch something unless a full series is out, so that way I know I can just watch it all or watch what I want to, and I don't have to sit and wait.
I mean, you can binge it all.
Yeah, I come from
And
one of those
it's-
days.
It to me, it's like not necessarily like it being like the fact that it's TV in particular, like that being because like there's a stigma associated with TV. It's still visual art that we can consume for the
Yeah.
most part, but it's like the most widely appreciated and widely like kind of like made or tweaked trashier, depending on
Yeah.
how you look at it. But to me, the thing that's alarming is like the amount of escapism that's required on like a normal day-to-day existence.
Yeah.
It's like we have these 8 to 10 hour just like absolutely shit work days were expected to show up and be happy to do it. And I feel like the psychological need for just a complete obliteration of like any sense of self is just like getting staggeringly bigger.
Yeah. My dad has like really bad OCD.
Yeah.
And like when me and my sister were like really young, he couldn't handle like little messes, which is like it was never like violent or anything,
Right.
but just like he like would get very upset.
It'd cause a scene. It'd be something.
Yeah, which is like if you're around children, they're gonna make messes. But my dad, when I was very young, got on like a mood suppressor.
Yep.
And even though my dad was always around, I don't really know my dad that well because we never really had like I can't remember a time where we really had like one-on-one conversations.
Are you relating that to the mood suppressor, or are you saying that that was just like where the change occurred and like your ability to formulate a relationship with
I
them?
think it's related to the drug.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with that. I think he because he was on this medication, it made him very like a zombie.
Yeah.
And I think he had a hard time forming bonds at all. But my mom, like, she broke her neck when she was 16, and she's been on like Lyrica and other things for.
I've had relatives take Lyrica as well.
Yeah.
That's like kind of a heavy pain thing, right?
Yeah.
That can kind of mess with your mind too.
It can like withdrawals can actually kill you. Like my mom, like she quit. Like I don't know if like she just couldn't afford it anymore or what happened, but she quit taking it, and I remember her like in bed all day, cold sweat, shaking.
That's
like immense pain, and she was taking it for pain.
Mhm.
But now my mom doesn't take anything, like or at least not anything like that, and she doesn't experience as much pain. So I think what was happening is, and she thinks this too. The pain she was feeling was from withdrawals. So she was taking, but she started taking it for pain. So she thought, oh, this is just how bad my pain is when I'm not on this.
Kind of like a fucked up psychological game of like the chicken and the egg. Like you can't really figure out what started first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like because of that, I I held this resentment towards my parents, like looking down on them like they were weak or something.
Yeah.
This angsty teenager stuff. And I remember like I'm never going to become like addicted to like have something control my life like this.
Yeah.
And then I became an adult and I completely fucking understand.
I feel very strongly that like whatever allows you to wake up and just like get out of bed and go out there and function with the rest of us, do whatever you need to do. Obviously there's like lines that need to be drawn with like if it's like super detrimental to your health. Like I'm by no means encouraging anyone to like abuse any type of drugs, prescription or not. I'm not saying I think anyone should like abuse alcohol or like engage in things that are like negative to their health. But I'm just saying that like I get it. Like
It's opposite day. He does actually meet all those. He advocates for those. Sorry.
This message was brought to you by Big Pharma. But like I don't know if you feel similarly, but you know, like again, like we ultimately still feel like children just trying to figure it out. I particularly feel like my transition from like 18, 19 to like maybe 25, 26 was just like awful. Like just trying to figure out like, oh, this is it. Like I no school, no anything else, just like work and whatever I can slam in and around work.
Yeah.
It's a weird compromise that like is again, it's an invisible contract that exists between everyone at all times.
Yep. I disagree with the contract we have with our institutions.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've been, I don't think this is news to you, but like I have some very radical opinions about how we fix it.
Yeah.
And
you're a burn it down kind of person, right? Or
I'm starting to understand now. It's actually glad you asked.
Yeah.
I used to think I don't believe in the system. Like I don't think you can run for office and make a change. I don't believe it. I think it's a lie. So if I did, I would run for politics or get involved in law. But I don't believe in our system. Law is controlled by money. Politics are controlled by money. It's a farce. It's a game that's being played. So that leaves only a couple of options. I used to have a very like, this is America. We're founded on violent revolution, like Boston Tea Party. Like we came here. Well, we didn't. That wasn't the reason we were here, but we revolted because we didn't like having this monarchy, the system on top of this, and the system was supposed to be built around. I'm a big believer in the concept of what America is supposed to be, which is far different from what we live in.
The reality.
Yeah, but like the individual liberty, like you have
What is it?
God
Life,
given
love,
rights.
and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like you have these as a human being, you have rights afforded to you just because, like, and it's not we're giving you these rights. Like this is a acknowledgement of the human's rights. But anyway, I think now there's no way we could overthrow the government. That's a losing battle. But I realize we don't have to. We can just stop obeying laws in mass. Like for example, everyone I know, I think not everyone I know, but most people I know have just said, yeah, fuck drug laws. I'm gonna take drugs. I just don't respect this law. We could do that with any law, like any ones that we don't acknowledge, and like just leave the ones that we do agree with. But like, there are places in America where police don't go to. That can why can't that expand? Why can't we make that the whole country where it's like, yeah, no one's dumb enough to try and enforce laws these people don't actually agree with. I think that's a more realistic solution. But that's just me.
Yeah. So your idea of anything close to a utopia, and I'm using the word, I'm not saying like a literal utopia, but in your mind, like the way for things to be working perfectly is if we just continually allow them to just be written the way they are and ignore them and hit a large enough portion of the population that like it reaches a point where it's out of control and there's no point in trying to enforce it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Like for example, what if we all just stop paying our taxes? The IRS can't get us all.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is you have to have everyone on board with it.
Here's some of the Internal Revenue Service. Who are they serving?
Yeah.
It's not a service. Not a service to us. Yeah. It's cute, but
you know, in theory, if our taxes actually went to things that benefited us, then maybe it would be. But
that's kind of where I land. Is I am trying to like slowly but surely just like make myself an optimist, not like a good vibes only optimist, but like someone that can believe that change is possible and that things can work if we just like tweak them, because we've evolved, and it's fair to view our politics and our economic systems as like some weird intangible thing that's evolving alongside of us, right? And so it needs to be tweaked and catered to like it's that. It needs to morph and change in real time, but unfortunately for like the last like 60 or 70 years it hasn't, right? A lot of those like necessary changes, like minimum wage going up with the cost of inflation and other similar elements, like the wrong things are being tweaked by the wrong people in power with the wrong interests, which is like known, but nothing can be done at the speed that we need it to be done. So I kind of harkening back to like my point before, it's like I want a lot of the old people to die so that like the other like semi-broke millennials that are just as like angry and flustered and being driven crazy as the rest of us have a chance to just like tweak it in the ways that we know it needs to be tweaked.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the ways you adjust it, one of the ways you tweak it is forcibly. And I think this is true, this is a problem not just with America.
Yeah.
This is a problem with every culture that's ever existed, is like, we don't like the way you're running things. So like kill the king, replace him with someone who actually represents our interests. But we, as a people, I'd say across the world, not just America, have not checked our government in a long time. We haven't reminded them that they work for us.
Well, unfortunately, like along with the direct upward momentum of power and money just like being clung on to like smaller and smaller numbers, the comfort and like the standard of living has kind of been like okay. It's like
Oh yeah, this is the best time to be alive.
people have trouble paying their rent, but like still buy Netflix
Society
until
is
they raise
better
it
than it's ever been.
$5 again. Fuck you, Netflix.
Yeah,
Stop raising your prices.
things are better than they've ever been. It's
Yeah,
nice.
it's weird that like those things can like exist side by side.
Yeah,
It's like it is harder and harder and harder to go to the grocery store and load up on like healthy, nutritious things that you need. But like the app store has like a lot of cool stuff.
yeah. I'm not above it, and I don't disagree with it. But we're being made slaves to convenience.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
things are so nice, which is kind of why we're losing our freedoms.
the current state of the world would not exist without the level of consumption that is currently going on and continually going on. Like,
Yeah,
our like huge metric of whether or not the economy is performing well is like Black Friday. It's like how much shit did people buy this year? Let's check in. Okay, a lot of people are buying a lot of shit. It's not terrible. Look.
that's the metric to focus on.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I pay no attention to the stock market. I'm looking at Best Buy sales.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always an honor.
Yeah.
Always a fun time. This is like a medium that I believe in. I believe that like two human beings just like going back and forth like this is like kind of where like a lot of the non-scripted magic is going to happen. And it's just nice to see someone that I love and care about and believe in doing the damn thing still. I'm like I'll step in and out the door whenever you're having me.
You are always welcome here,
Thank you.
and in my heart.
And other crevices.
Yes.
Other areas?
Oh, I thought that went without saying.
Another contract.
Write it down.
The stabbing contract needs to be tweaked.
So yeah, just not with sharp things.
Yeah.
And thanks again for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Check out Young Robot and all of Sky Daddy Productions' many endeavors. We will leave you tonight and see you next week, Alice. See ya.